What is going on, buddy? Welcome back to All Things Film. Today I'm here to do my review of Fear the Walking Dead Season 4 Episode 13 titled Blackjack. If you haven't seen the episode or you aren't caught up with Fear the Walking Dead, spoiler warning, but other than that, let's get started. So overall, I thought the episode was pretty decent. There was definitely some good and some bad to the episode that I'm going to discuss in this review. But I did think it was better than last week's episode. And the reason I'm saying that is because if you watched my review from last week, you knew that I didn't really like that episode and I had a lot of problems with it. This episode was definitely a step in the right direction. But again, there are some good and some bad that I'm going to get to in this review. But this episode is split up into three different stories. We had Strand and John, and then we had Luciana and her, this new character she met named Clay. And then we had Morgan in the group dealing with the crazy lady. I want to start off with the crazy lady because I'm very interested in her character. I will say that, because she is, I think a lot of that has to do with the actress. She's doing a great job with the character, making her really menacing and, almost scary. Because she is a terrifying character, but the only problem I have with this is that it logically doesn't make sense for our whole group, Morgan and like these 7 other people to be scared of this lady because they're like all these people who this lady is almost like beating down and bullying. These people have been through so much, especially my man Morgan. Like, he's been through an all-out war. He shouldn't be scared of, some crazy lady. Now, I'm not saying Morgan is scared of her because I don't think he is. But, I don't think the whole group should be getting beat down and bullied by her. I mean, yeah, she has a truck with the machine guns on it, Al's truck. But those machine guns aren't, they can't go in 360 or anything. All they have to do is like jump out of the car and deal with her. But it is what it is. I'm still very interested in the character because I'm not gonna lie, whenever the character's on screen, my eyes are glued to the TV because I want to know what's up with her, what's her deal, and what she's connected to and all that. But Fear the Walking Dead can go down 2 different directions here. Either at the end of the season they could introduce like a whole new group of villains that this lady is connected to, or, maybe at the end of the season, they could join forces and be like, you don't have to be like this, you can help us and we can go to Alexandria. But personally, I'd rather them, introduce a new group of villains that leads us into season 5, and maybe this lady could be, like the leader or something, because she is definitely a good character, and the atmosphere revolving around this character is really good. Because there was a scene early on in the episode where they were talking on the walkie-talkie, and June is picking up her gun and looking over her shoulders because she was scared. Like, I love that scene. There's a great atmosphere there, there's great suspense, but then when you think about it, you're like, there's not really, is the suspense really there because it's only one character, it's only one lady, is the group really in danger? And you could say yes, I could totally be wrong about this because the lady is, she carries herself pretty well and she's killed some people, but what I'm saying is that hopefully, overall they bring this story into something that's gonna be not anticlimactic because the character is great, but I really hope at the end of the season they do more with her than just joining forces or something, hopefully, or just maybe kill her herself, because if it's only one lady, it shouldn't take 5 episodes to kill her. I'm really hoping that she's gonna introduce these characters into a whole new world. But that's it. Let's just move on to John and Strand because I want to talk about them as well. Now, this is the part of the episode where I was a bit disappointed because I love John and Strand, don't get me wrong, they're both great characters, the actors are great, they do so much with the characters that they're so fun to watch. But then when you think about it, if you actually think about what happened with these characters, the story progressed nowhere, because I'm not gonna lie, while I'm watching the episode, I'm not thinking about this, like I'm enjoying the presence of these characters, but then when I think about it afterwards, I'm like, what the hell even happened with John and Strand? Because the characters didn't even move, like the story did not progress at all for them. And Fear the Walking Dead is doing this thing where, almost each episode, or at least every other episode, characters are arguing with each other, and they have the whole episode disagreeing, and then at the end of the episode they agree, and sometimes it fails and sometimes it works. Like last episode, it was June and Al, they were disagreeing for the most part of the episode about the truck, and then at the end of the episode they're like, okay, let's go get Morgan. And then at the end of this, in this episode, we had John and Strand arguing about the boat, or the thing that John was building, and then they Strand was disagreeing with him, and then he finally agreed with him, and then they went on the boat, they got fucked up by an alligator, and then they went back on the island and nothing happened. Like, the story did not progress at all. And I think what Fear is doing here is that they're really focusing on character development, and maybe a little too much, because don't get me wrong, character development is super important, and especially for TV shows, because as the seasons go by and as the episodes go by, you want your characters to change over time and the episodes, but Fear is doing it so much that their story is not progressing at all, and it's being super slow, and that might be frustrating for some viewers. And maybe part of the reason why I'm getting a bit frustrated by this is because Fear is doing it too much. Like last week we had June and Al talking or disagreeing with each other, and then they had a deep, meaningful talk, and then they finally agreed and they went to look for more again. Same thing in this episode. John and Strand were disagreeing with each other. John had a meaningful talk with Strand, and he finally, agreed to help him with the boat thing and, get across the water. So Fear is focusing so much on these deep and meaningful talks that at the end of the episode, the story did not progress that much. And if they're really gonna focus on just a few characters per episode and just like these deep and meaningful thoughts and talks and stuff, they should really focus on making the journeys more interesting, because that would maybe help a little. Because Lucy's journey was not interesting at all. Like the whole episode, she was just looking for beer. And I'll get back to Lucy in just a second, but with John and Strand, I feel like they could have done so much more on that little island just to make the episode more fun and interesting, like maybe more with the crocodile, because I did like the scene where the van started toppling over the side of the hill because Strand was going for the drink, and that also says a lot about Strand's character. But then also, it's kind of cool to watch that happen, because if they're not going to progress the story, at least give us more moments where we're like, oh shit, look at that, like especially at the end of the episode where the crazy lady started firing at the everybody in the truck. I love that, because that gave me that really put me at the edge of my seat, even though I know they're not gonna die, but still we need more moments like that. In this episode we had maybe like 2, that's it, maybe even 1 if you don't want to consider the Strand thing pretty cool. But I feel like they could have done more, definitely with the alligator, because when they were on the little boat thing that John made, and then the alligator started coming underneath them and pushing them up and making them move all over the place, I like that scene, because I was like, oh shit's actually about to go down here. But then they just jumped off, and then they cut the scene, and then when we came back, they were already in the island. And I feel like they do that a lot too on Fear the Walking Dead, like jump cuts, like the characters get into some a bad situation, and then they cut the scene into a different group of people, and they come back and they're already out, or they're already almost out of it. Especially with John and Strand, like they were in the middle of this water, and then they cut back to them and they were on the island. But I get that a lot of that has to do with filming and budget, because it is going to be pretty hard and expensive to film like a crocodile chasing them, or maybe them trying to swim back to shore. So I get that's going to be hard and expensive on production wise. But all I'm saying is that if they're not going to progress the story, and John and Strand are still stuck on the island, so we still have to wait to see what's going on with them, or at least make the episode more interesting and more fun, and give us like more like oh shit moments. Like that's all I'm saying. But let's move on to Lucy and talk about her as well. Lucy's journey was pretty decent in this episode, I guess. I mean, it was better than John and Strand's, because at least at the end of the episode, she did find her way back to Morgan in the group. But basically, Lucy met this guy named Clayton, who was basically dying inside of this car, and his last thing he wanted was a beer. And the moment Clayton said beer, I knew that, she was gonna find the beer that Jim put inside one of those boxes, which I was kind of happy about, because I was like, finally, they're gonna finally meet up with each other. But basically, she told this man that, I'm gonna get you the beer, because she was upset that she couldn't do anything to help Nick, who's dying literally right in front of her. And then this man was also dying right in front of her, and she was like, I'm gonna do everything it takes to, make your final moments happy, and I'm gonna get you that beer. So she went on this whole journey of, the whole episode is basically her looking for beer. And I mean, isn't that a little too deep and meaningful, guys? Like, I feel like I'm being a little harsh, but I mean, I don't know, I just feel like it's a little too much for her to, go on this emotional ride. It gets me sometimes too. Like the music, I will say, the music in this episode is pretty good. Because during the heat of the episode, I'm watching this, and like there's like sad music, and she's looking for beer, and it cuts back to John, and he's trying to build this boat, and it's just like this super depressing and sad music. And I understand that the characters are all broken after what happened to them in the first half, but then after the episode, when I'm thinking about it, I'm like, was that really necessary? Like, I get the characters are sad, and it even makes me sad seeing some of my favorite characters all sad and stuff, and I feel like it's a little too much, and this is why the story is not progressing at all during this back half of season 4. And I'm not saying that I'm not enjoying the episodes, because I am. I'm enjoying the episodes during the heat of the moments. I'm enjoying the presence of these characters, but then after the episode, I think, and I'm like, was any of that stuff really that necessary? Like, the Lucy thing, I get, though, because, she saw someone die. I mean, and I get sometimes it's important for the characters because of, their own sake. Like for Lucy, she saw someone die, so she wants to help someone. So I guess I understand that. And stuff like that might happen in real life too. Like if you see someone die or you see someone get hurt or there's something you couldn't do to help, maybe you want to, you know, have a change of heart and then want to help someone else. Like I get that that stuff might happen in real life. So I guess it's important for character development, but all I'm saying is that maybe the storytelling is a little too slow. So maybe that's why I'm frustrated, but hey, I guess it is what it is. We have 3 more episodes left, so the story should be picking up soon, and each episode is picking it up, you know. At least, you know, each episode has like more than a few characters now. So next week, I'm assuming John and Strand, hopefully they find their way back to Morgan. Maybe not, maybe episode 15, because they're still stuck on that island, but we're gonna have to wait and see what exactly happens. So again, overall, I thought it was a pretty decent episode, and I'm sorry if I sounded harsh during the review. I feel like I sounded pretty harsh, but maybe that's why, because I'm feeling a little frustrated because of the storytelling. It's very slow, but I am enjoying some of the character moments. So, you know, overall, it was a pretty decent episode. But in the comments down below, be sure to leave your thoughts and opinions on the episode and Fear the Walking Dead in general. But I'm gonna wrap it up there, though. Thank you guys for watching, and again, be sure to leave your thoughts and opinions in the comments down below. And thank you guys for all the support on these videos. And for daily Walking Dead and Fear the Walking Dead videos, be sure to hit the subscribe button. It's been All Things Film, and until next time, peace.